Hey guys, this slideshow should give you all the information you need to be able to cite resources for history projects in a professional and honest way. So as historians, citations are extremely important. This is because we don't just make up this stuff out of thin air. History would be pointless if we did that. But since we're getting our information from somewhere, we need to be honest about where we're getting our info. And this is important for a number of reasons. It gives credit to the people who gave us the information. It helps us to avoid charges of plagiarism. It allows us to back up what we're saying. And it also will help other people who are researching the same topic if they decide to use your work as a secondary source. For all of these reasons, citations are extremely important, and I want you to start getting good at them now. That way when you do more serious research at the college level, you'll be ready to honestly and accurately state where you got your historical information from. So when do you need to cite? You need to cite anytime you quote or paraphrase a source. Quoting is when you use words that are directly and identical to the words used in one of your sources, and you would indicate this with quote marks. A paraphrase is anytime you restate in original language sections from one of your sources. Either of those two times, it is essential that you cite your work. Otherwise, you are open to charges of plagiarism. Also, you need to cite any information that you present that you get from a source that is not common knowledge. But what is common knowledge? So common knowledge is stuff that a reasonably knowledgeable person in your field of inquiry should know. So think about who you're writing to and assume that those people have a reasonable level of knowledge based on who they are. So some examples of common knowledge would be China's the most populous nation in the world, Abraham Lincoln was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth, and Siddhartha Gautama was the founder of Buddhism. All of those things are so well known, especially by people who work in the social sciences, that you don't need to cite that stuff. So this is kind of a gray area, and basically the rule is if you're not sure whether something is common knowledge, you should just go ahead and cite it to be safe. So when you cite, I'm going to ask you guys to cite using the MLA citation style. And the reason I'm picking this style is because it's easy and it's accepted in most college level courses. I was able to use MLA up until I went to graduate school, and then I had to learn a more intense, more annoying style of citation, which we won't talk about here. So MLA, even though you might not like it, it's pretty easy, pretty straightforward. On top of this, there is an awesome online guide to MLA formatting. And I've included the link here. I've also included the link on a list of useful historical resources that will come out with this project. And there are two main parts to citation. The first main part is in-text parenthetical citations, and then there's a Works Cited page that comes at the end of your project or paper. Let's talk about parenthetical citations first. So these are used to indicate the precise source of information to readers. And here's an example below of a parenthetical citation. So pretend this is something from a history paper. The historian David M. Kennedy asserts that Washington helped to, quote, quiet the overheated tempers, end quote, at the Constitutional Convention. And then I cite, after the end of the sentence and before the period, parentheses, Kennedy, page 178. So that's exactly how your parenthetical citation should look in your projects and papers. So there are a couple of rules here. First of all, the parentheses always come between the sentence and the final period. That is the space where the citation goes. And they should always follow this pattern. Last name of the author, comma, page number. If in a single sentence you use more than one source, then you change it a little bit where you put the last name of the first author, comma, page number, then you do a semicolon, then you do last name of the next author, comma, page number, end of citation. There are some other rules there. I'm not going to read them all out loud, but use those notes as a basic guide as you go forward in your research. So the second part of your MLA citation will be the Works Cited page. And on the Works Cited page, you need to include any source that you cite parenthetically in your work. So I've included for you guys a couple different formats that should help you figure out how you should cite any kind of source that you might have used. So there's a basic format there for single authors, and I'll walk you through that one. And then hopefully you can use that example to figure out all the other ones that I've listed down there. So for a book with a single author, you would put the first thing that comes is the last name, followed by the first name, then a period. Now your word processor will probably tell you that's a fragment, just ignore it. Then you put the title of the book in italics, period. The city where it's published, colon, the publisher, comma, the year that it was published. Period. And then you put the medium of publication. And this means that if it's a printed book or a printed magazine or anything like that, you would say print. If you got it online as like an ebook, you would say electronic. And so here's an example for a book. You've got Gleick, comma, James, period. So that means the book was written by James Gleick. And then you've got chaos, or semicolon, making a new science. That's in italics, so you know it's the title of the book. Then you've got the information on where it was published. It's published in New York by Penguin Publishing in 1987. And last, you've got that it was published in print, so you know it's a print source, not an electronic source. So hopefully with that info you can decode all of these other formats for more complicated kinds of citations. A couple notes on how to format your works cited. You should always center the title, and the title should always just be Works Cited. Don't say anything else. And the title should be the same size and font as the rest of the text. Your works cited should be double-spaced with a hanging indent. You can select these options if you go to the Paragraph tab in Microsoft Word, or you can go to the Format tab in Google Docs. You also need to alphabetize your works cited by the author's last name. If you need more information on any of this, I cannot recommend highly enough the MLA Citation Guide put on by Purdue University, and there's a link right there for you guys to use. Alright, that is all that I have for you guys on citation. Hopefully that is enough info to get you all started. I'll be happy to help you in class if you have any lingering questions.